Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of 9x90. Today, we have a very special guest with us. Thanks to Sarah Postilnick, we have the Lisa Morris with us. She is a Broadway touring performer turned entrepreneur who then became an investor and family office executive after the sale of her multi-million-dollar company, Road Concierge, an entertainment travel agency that is now part of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. Some of you might have heard of it, Internova. On a personal level, she is a philanthropist with projects ranging from healthcare to education and tech. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, of course. So you transitioned from Broadway performer to founding and scaling Road Concierge. What skills or insights from performance helped you to build a successful travel company?
Well, Broadway is the perfect background for almost any industry. First, you learn how to be comfortable in your own skin. You learn how to face rejection and have to keep getting back up. You learn how to interact with people, with an audience. You feel energy and you understand when something is not working, how to pivot, how to change the mood. You're confident in public speaking. You can walk into a room and just conquer it. So there's a lot of skills that go along with Broadway performing that naturally translate to being a good communicator. And when you're a good communicator, that helps you grow any type of business. And specific to my company, the travel business, I was the client. So having been a touring artist, being able to realize what they actually need. I didn't approach it from the perspective of a travel agent. I wasn't a travel agent. I fell into travel. I approached it from being a touring artist saying, why is our travel so messed up? And I can do a better job. And so by
Oh my God.
Understanding that it makes a difference if the bar is open late because you don't get off work till 11. And having a full service hotel that has laundry for $10 a pair of underwear is not helpful. You want a place to do your laundry because you're living on the road. So that was differential for me. And when I started meeting the needs of artists, they started flocking to me. I didn't spend $1 on advertising or marketing.
Well, of course not. If you're doing exactly what they need, oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. Wow. Yeah, I've traveled through 50 countries now, so I could tell you, if you still had the company, I would probably be saying, hey, where do I go after my late night meetings and where do I get my laundry done? I think that's definitely something, not even traveling artists, also consultants would probably benefit from that. And now
Absolutely.
we have to go to Internova.
Anyone that lives on the road, anyone that lives on the road needs to be taken care of. Traveling can be really stressful. I love it. Traveling's amazing. And I'm so blessed I've gotten paid to travel all over the world. But when you have someone that has your back, and can navigate through all the stress of travel, it makes it that much better.
Yeah, absolutely. That's rare. That's rare.
Yeah. And I've done travel for everybody from Prince to Carole King to, the Baby Shark. So it really ranges
No way.
Yeah, I mean, from children's theater to A-list artists, we do it all. And so everybody has different needs. And again, understanding needs, reading people's needs, and understanding who you're interacting with and how they need you to care for them is just a key element.
My children love Baby Shark. They're now going to think I'm so cool for having interviewed the person who worked with the Baby Shark team. What?
I said it's the little things.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Now I'm cool with my 3-year-old, finally. In just 6 years, you took Road Concierge from concept to exit. What were the key factors behind the rapid growth and successful sale?
Well, as we just discussed, knowing the client was certainly part of rapid growth. But I would say one of the keys to my success was the ability to think out of the box. When I started the company, I started it with a cell phone and a laptop. I had no business plan, no business background. I didn't have financing. And I thought to myself, well, how do I take care of the things I don't know how to do, like accounting and legal? And I didn't want to spend money on that. So what did I do? I bartered. I believe very much in the power of bartering. I was giving voice lessons to people's kids. I had a massage license. I was giving massages. I was getting people passes, anything that would allow them to do what they did easily for me and for free. So I didn't pay to incorporate. I didn't pay for basic setup. And the biggest thing was the office. So about 6 months into starting the company, as I was growing, people wanted me to have a New York address, a real company, not work from my house. And this was before WeWork and all of that. And I said, okay, I need a high-end office, but I don't want to pay for that in New York City. So I made a deal with a hedge fund that I said, if I can use your office as my office and work on my company all day, because they needed a receptionist to sit up front and basically accept food. There was no other job for her to do. So I said, look, give me health insurance and minimum wage, and I will deliver the coffee every day, and I will run my company from your prestigious Wall Street address. And it worked out great. And I'm happy to say that a guy that I brought coffee to in the morning, within a year, I had my own office. I was able to leave there and get my own prestigious office in Midtown. But I brought him coffee, and now he works for me. So,
oh my God. I love that so much. Oh my God.
Like, you never have to bring me coffee, but just remember the days that I brought you coffee. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God. That is amazing.
Yeah. Because it was a hedge fund and it was a crash after 2008. And so that hedge fund shut down and he was unemployed and he came and worked for me. So it worked out great.
Oh, wow. Lesson to all of you who have someone bringing you coffee. She might be your boss one day. Be nice to her.
Absolutely.
So now at AKS Family Partners, how do you leverage your entrepreneurial background to guide philanthropic and investment decisions for high net worth families?
Yeah, so the family office that I work for, they're wonderful people and I adore them. But they're very busy and they're very, very private. So they don't go to events. They don't go to things. And so I am the one that goes out there and I use my ability to pick a good founder and recognize a good company and recognize a good family to co-invest with. And I bring them back. So I like to affectionately call, I'm technically, I'm the managing director, but affectionately, I call myself the truffle pig because I'm really out there to just sniff it out, sniff out the fake people. There's a lot of fake family offices.
Oh my God.
Smell them a mile away. Pick out the people that might not be fake, but are just not aligned with what we do at our family office. Like we're not a real estate family, for example. So they could be a huge real estate family, but that's not necessarily who we're going to work with. We primarily do venture. And so for us, it's about finding great companies and great co-investors. And that's part of my role is using my entrepreneurial background to recognize the talented founder. I have a really good sense of who's just raising capital and ideas, and they don't have the drive or the capability or the tenacity to run that company. So in that, and then on the philanthropy side, I've been very active in philanthropy from well before I had any assets to spend. And so I went from being the girl that volunteered when I didn't have any money to now being the girl that raises a substantial amount of money for various nonprofits. And so getting to work with a family that has a foundation, it's just a joy to be able to have discussions on how to best utilize that power and where we want to direct and what they want to do and then what I want to do. And then with a company called Force Family Office, they gave me a platform similar to yours in a way where I was able to feature different nonprofits and the work that they do to their audience of family. They're a family office network. They're not a family office. That network has an audience to hear different webinars, education. And so they let me use that for philanthropy. I called it Force for Good. And we were able to feature different nonprofits and the amazing work that they're doing and try to get them some attention and build partnerships. So it's a pleasure. Yeah.
Do you know Rotary International?
Yeah, well, they're big. Yeah, they're very well known. Yeah.
Do you see that black award right there?
Oh, in the back there. Yeah.
My grandfather received that decades ago when he was an international director at Rotary International, and he convinced all the other nonprofits to work with them to eradicate polio.
Oh, see, that's amazing. I will tell you, I never wanted an Academy Award, and I never wanted, whatever accolades, but I would think I would lose my mind if I was ever a CNN hero. I watched that award show like I cry my eyes out. That inspired me so much. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
And then where's the other one? The president of Rotary International. Do you know Stephanie Urchick?
I don't, but I mean, I know.
She's one of my mentors. I told her, I said, if you write a story in my book, I'll make you a best-selling author. And she said, okay, kid, let's see what you got. And she put a story at the front of chapter 12, 20 days after the book launch. I was like, hey, you're a best-selling author now.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing. See, it's the power of communication.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. And we talk about that a lot. She's absolutely amazing woman. She has her PhD in leadership. Before I had to go on a speaking tour in February, I had to speak, like talk about crazy travel. I had to speak in a different city every 3 to 4 hours for 7 days straight. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be dead by the end of this. And she gave me like a 2-second pep talk that just, boom. I went from like freaking out, I don't want to do this, to I got this, I promise I'll make you proud.
It's amazing. You never know where unexpected mentors come from. I had a mentor, I don't even know this woman's name. I, to this day, don't know her name. I worked on a cruise ship when I was performing it, when I was 18 years old. And there was this old lady that had lived in a wheelchair. She lived on the ship. Like every time she would leave and she would just live there. And I talked to her, I would sit with her and I said, why do you live on the ship? And she said, well, you know, all of my husband died, my friends are dead. I'm old. I need to have healthcare access, a doctor, but I don't want to live alone. And I have money. So I live on the ship so I can meet new people. And she said, here's my advice to you, young lady. She said, retire now. I said, what? She said, I did not do all the traveling because I kept saying someday I would do it. She said, and now I can't physically travel. She said, while you're young, you travel now. And so because of her, I chose touring gigs all over the world. I moved to Germany to do a show. I worked because I remembered that. I said, I could get paid to travel now when I'm young and I can enjoy it. I can build a business later. And that's exactly what I did. And I don't know her name, but she changed my life.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very cool. It's actually, I have a few friends who have been executives at some point or another for different cruise lines, and they have old people live on the cruises because it's cheaper and more luxurious than a lot of the assisted living facilities.
Absolutely. And it's also that you have a constant influx of new people. You might have a gorgeous assisted living facility with top notch, but it's still a permanent place. And so your people don't change. On a cruise ship, every 8 days or 7 days, a whole new fresh batch of people come on for you to socialize with. You get to play Scrabble. You get to know the people on the ship. You sort of build a little family there. And so I think if you have the resources, living on a ship is a great idea as an older person.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So let's see. Now we did this one. Here we are. You emphasize the importance of communication in business and philanthropy, and we are completely aligned on that. What strategies have you found most effective in engaging stakeholders from investors to community partners? That's a very heavy question.
It's a heavy question with a really simple answer.
Okay.
I approach everyone and everything from, how can I help? What do you need? As opposed to, what can you do for me? And it's never, I don't approach relationships with a transaction in mind. I've met people, it's like, hi, nice to meet you. Will you invest in my company? It's like, no, I won't.
Yeah.
It's building relationships, it's building trust.
Yeah.
There's nothing more valuable in business than the human capital.
Oh yeah.
Because you could have 7 technologies that are the same. I'm not going to lie, anybody can book a hotel room. It's not like I have a magic to book a hotel room, but it's about the service I'm providing to the customer in that instance. Or if I'm working on an investment, you know, the faith that you have in the founder believing that you're the right person to be part of their board. It's really about building relationships. And so the very simple answer is, I approach every aspect of communication from, how do I help? What do you need? How can we be of service to each other? And I never treat somebody like I'm waiting for someone more important. I find it infuriating. We've all done this. You've been at a cocktail party and someone's talking to you, but they're absolutely not talking to you. They're looking over your head and they're scanning the room for somebody that's better than you.
I walk away.
It is insulting on every level. You should just say, listen, I'm so sorry. I want to talk to you, but I've been trying to get that guy all night. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to run, get him, and I'm going to come back to you. That's honest. But to pretend you're speaking with someone and look over their head, this is part of how I gauge the quality of a person and who's just in it for a transaction, which is short-sighted, and who's a relationship that I might be able to build multiple investments with, multiple companies with. So really simple answer, ask them what they need, not what you need.
I had last year, some people thought that they could steal my black book and they would get to the same spot that I'm in. And I was like, go for it. So they stole all these contacts, and then they reached out to them, and they came back to me really upset. And they were like, why are they so loyal to you? I was like, it's really simple. My relationship with them is either win-win or how can I help them? That's it.
And it's authentic.
Yeah.
Respond to someone that's authentic.
Yeah.
Even if you don't like what they're saying, if they believe in it and they're authentic about it, you can respect the difference. I think everybody recoils, even if they're not realizing they're recoiling. Everyone recoils from fakeness. You know, there's just something so cloying and phony. And you instinctively know, like, oh, you're so name dropping or flashy, or I just and I sometimes just nod my head. I'm like, yes, it's very impressive that you know blah 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 person.
Yeah.
Do they actually like you?
That's very funny.
Yeah, we're already getting something. Win-win.
I guess that's like such a New York thing. I didn't even think about, having lived outside of New York City for so many years, that this, like, that aspect, or that what people down here tell me it's like a quirk, is very New York way of looking at things. Do they actually like you? It doesn't matter if you know how to say their name. But yeah, I had someone tell me, they were like, oh, watch out for that person. They're going to steal all of your contacts. And I was like, my contacts are resilient, and they don't care. Like, I don't own those people. If they make a collaborative, if they collaborate with that person on something, I look like a winner because I made the intro. If they don't, it's nothing for me.
Look, this sounds like a bumper sticker, but seriously, I have it in my apartment. I have a couple of mantras that I kind of remind myself of. And this says, he who is rich in friends is poor in nothing. And I just completely believe that, because at the end of the day, you know, you can make money, you can lose money, you can have prestige, you can fall out of favor. But if you have real friends in your life, you're always going to be okay.
Yeah. I had a friend from a family office. He went through a really rough time, and he was like, don't tell anyone. And I was like, you and I are not telling anyone. He was like, why? It's like, because part of our power comes from our strategic alliance. And the people who would want to know that information would want to use it to destroy you. And if you, as one of my strategic allies, are taken down, I lose my strategic advantage as well. So the safest thing for us to do is to watch out for each other.
I had a friend who was her husband was extremely powerful, and then he retired from the company, and she was so hurt because all the invitations they always had dried up. Suddenly she was really devastated. And I said, look, you know what? Look at this as a blessing. You're able to see now who actually cares for you, who really is your friend, and who is not using you for what your husband can do. And then ironically, about 5 months later, he went back into business, had all the power again. Those same people that ignored her came crawling back, and she was able to be like, yeah,
good.
You showed me who you were.
Good. I had a friend, he was the CEO of one bank's wealth management branch, retired for just a shorter period of time. And then he went back in, and now he's the CEO of another bank's wealth management branch. I'm wondering if his wife probably experienced the same thing.
Again, you know, people are either authentic and they actually have relationships with you, or they're using you, and you find out.
Yeah, and also I think it's very short-sighted when someone steps out of a position of power to stop being friends with them. I had an investor call me, and he was like, what do you think about this person? And I was like, why are you asking? Like, give me the context. And he's like, well, because I've heard this, this, and this. And I was like, keep in mind that she's from a very powerful family. So she might be going through something difficult right now. But the second she cleans herself up and decides to stand up again, she could destroy half of those people with one punch. So I would not choose sides. And I would operate under the assumption that at some point she's going to decide she wants to go back into that arena. And the second she does, she has all the resources to own it.
Yeah. And also just be a good human being. If you don't like a person, that's fine. Don't spend time with them, but don't use them for what they can do for you. That's just my general feeling in life. Life's too short. And there's plenty of people that you can work with, and there's plenty of people you can collaborate with. And I have friends ranging from people that are week to week on their paycheck to be able to afford their rent, and people that need to sleep on my couch, to people that own their own islands. And they're all people. Yeah.
Yeah. That's who's going to be a positive influence in your life.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about your theater rescue and animal shelter sponsorship.
Oh, yeah. So my dog, Winston Jones, was everything. I named him after Winston Churchill because Winston Churchill said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. And that is just my, and yeah. I my dog Winston. And when he passed away, I wanted to do something really special in his honor. And so there's a local animal rescue we had supported. And I found out when I was speaking with them that there was also an issue in the town with domestic violence, where a lot of women that go to leave their abusers, when they found out that the women's rescue wouldn't take their pets, they went back to their abusers because,
oh my God.
And I know what it's like to be a dog mom. You can't abandon your fur baby. Veterans are on the street sometimes, not in shelters, because they're not abandoning the dogs that they served in war with. And so I said, hey, this is something I can work on. We're going to carve out a building at the rescue that I'll sponsor after my dog. And we are going to deliberately take in that building alone, temporarily, the pets of women who are being relocated somewhere safe. And we're going to work with the domestic violence organization to be able to keep the pets safe so that the women will leave and then get them their pets back as soon as they're stable and ready. And the same thing for short-term people that need short-term mental health care or addiction care, and they have no one to watch their animals. We'll watch the animals there so that they can go get the help they need in a very short term, like a 1 week rehab type of situation. So it was a great way for me to help women and animals. And then the theater, this was kind of a funny story. When I first sold my company, I happened to get lost. I stopped for gas in the Poconos, and I got lost going back to the highway. And I saw this movie theater, and I decided I wanted to stop for some caffeine and see a movie. And I walked in, and it was the cutest thing I'd ever seen. It was like an old mom and pop,
movie theater.
They're like, help us buy a butter machine. I mean, it was like, it was something out of a Hallmark film, right?
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
And then they had a sign saying jazz fundraiser. And I love jazz, but I'm like, a jazz fundraiser for a movie theater. Turns out they're a nonprofit organization, that their money comes from membership, not from ticket sales. I took a flyer. I couldn't stop thinking about the place. I bought a table at their gala, but I didn't know anyone in the town. So they were really smart. They said, some lady from New York bought a table. Let's seat her with like the executive director. And they pitched me really hard. A lot of wine and a lot of inspiration. I ended up giving them a grant to save the theater. The theater was going under. So they needed a loan essentially so they could buy the theater, and that would avoid the real estate taxes because they were paying rent. And as a nonprofit, they would qualify to not have tax if they owned it, but they couldn't afford to own the building. So I gave them the money to buy the building so that they would own it. And in return, they named it after Winston Jones. So my dog has a movie theater.
That is so cute.
And I call him a patron of the arts.
Yeah.
Oil painting of him there when he passed away, and it said our patron of the arts with his years. It's the greatest joy. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
I think everyone should do philanthropy in their pets' names. It's a great way to give them a legacy.
I have an urn. It used to be in the background. It's now over to the side, but I had a Belgian Groenendael.
Okay. They're
you know
beautiful.
what those are?
Oh yeah, they're big.
When I modeled in Europe, I would get stalkers. And so then my ex bought her for me. And in Italy, you can take dogs anywhere, on the train, everywhere. So she was basically my bodyguard, because when you have this wolf-like thing walking with a model, no one's going to follow her home. And twice that people were dumb enough to, I didn't even train her. I just opened the door and she lunged into the air. And if they had not stepped back, she would have bit their neck.
Wow.
Like, those dogs are incredible. They're fluffy, they're cuddly, they're stunning, and they are ferocious. But she, I have an urn with her in it because I couldn't let go. She protected me through so many years. I brought her with me to Spain when I was at business school. Yeah.
You can't let go. And that's actually why I think people should do their philanthropy. And like, my donor advised fund is Winston Jones donor advised fund. So every time philanthropic move, it's under his name. So I'm giving him the legacy, not me. But I find it so funny when I get a letter like, "Dear Mr. Jones, will you buy a table this year?" And I get a kick out of it because they have no idea they're writing to a dog. It kind of sounds like a law firm, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I think everybody should do philanthropy in the name of their pets because they're going to sadly, most likely lose their pets. And it's a great way to honor their pet and also not be stalked for their money. So if they don't want the attention, if they're going to do anonymous, instead of anonymous, do it in your pet's name.
Yeah. Well, did you buy another dog after?
No, I'm not ready, but I did. I'm actually, you can't see it, but my ring I'm wearing is my dog. So they have a company called Internova.
Yeah.
You can, oh, are you?
No,
Yes.
I'm not an investor. I know Mark Cuban invested in it, right?
Mark Cuban invested in it, but I spent the money to turn him into a diamond, and I basically will wear him forever. So
they wanted to have Internova CEO on this show, right after my grandmother passed. And I was like, please don't make me do an episode where I'm supposed to not cry and talk about death the whole time. Like, this is not the time for it. Maybe in a couple months, but you're the first person I've met who's actually bought their product.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm not there to, I have nothing to do with this company. This is not a commercial for them, but they were really lovely the way they do it. It's very personalized. They sort of assign you, talking about communication and empathy. The person they assign you is there to guide you through the whole journey of what's going to happen. And they're almost like remote therapists. They really, they do a great job of personalizing the experience. They understand if you loved someone or something enough that you're going to spend that kind of money to turn them into jewelry, this is something that's really important to you. And so they understood that their customer is going through the most vulnerable time. And so they didn't do it from a salesy perspective. They do it from a sort of, how do we guide you through transition? They were very smart in the way that they handled it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I didn't even think about it. My biggest fear of doing something like that would be, like, most of my jewelry, I have like mock replicas. So God forbid I'm in public somewhere and like someone try to say, give me your watch or your ring or whatever, I could just hand it to them and walk away. Yeah. If I were to have something like that, like, I would not be okay with handing over my grandfather's ashes and walking away. I'd be like destroyed.
I agree with you, but what they do is they actually they keep some aside so that you can create another diamond that's still them, as like in case it ever gets damaged or lost or stolen. So they do they think about that. It's still though the idea of losing anything personal. I got mugged once in Boise, Idaho, of all places, right? I live in New York City.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you're in New York.
New York City, and nothing has ever happened to me, but in Boise, Idaho. And what they stole was, when I was touring, they stole my Sesame Street lunchbox that I had since I was a little girl. And in that Sesame Street lunchbox, I had the things that mattered to me. I had photos and memorabilia and so I learned never travel with the things that mean that much to you emotionally. It had no value. They didn't steal a wallet. They stole like my memories. It was horrible. Oh, so yeah, I don't travel with those things anymore.
Let me see if I have it. No, I think it's in the other room.
That was the day where your photos weren't on a phone, right? Like when they steal your photos, they're stealing the printed photo that there is no other copy, right?
I had a book I used to travel with because I traveled a lot, and it had pictures of all of my cousins. I'm the middle of 80 across 5 generations, like huge family. So I had a book with like all these printed photos in it. If someone stole that, I would have been devastated.
Yeah, so don't go on tour with that. That's my advice. My advice as a professional travel agent is don't tour with a photo album that's priceless.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so let's see. You just have two questions left. What are some of your favorite impact investments and why?
Oh, wow. Now this is the question that's going to light me up. I've done all of my personal investments are impact. And when I say impact, for me, it's more social impact. People tend to think ESG, climate, and they're all important. I've done some in climate, but the ones that matter the most to me, theater. I invest in theater. I consider that to be an impact investment. The power of storytelling is massive. Whether the show is a hit or a flop, the investment is always amazing because you get to be part of that journey. And I invested in a show, I produced a show, did not do well financially, but we had kids writing to the box office that like they were planning on killing themselves. And because they saw our show, they didn't. So what's the return on that?
Oh my
right?
God.
That's, I would happily do it again and again and again, the same exact show, because of the
Yeah.
impact we had. And you never know what kind of impact someone's going to feel when they experience something that's a story that's personal and it hits their heart. And people talk all the time, oh, I want to invest in mental health. Well, you know what? Invest in theater. That is investing in that in a lot of ways. So that right now I'm on the advisory board of a company, a female founded company that's an AI avatar to instantly translate from speech to sign language. So she's making life accessible. She had deaf parents. She understood what it was like to be the child of deaf adults. And that's why she started the company. I love that. It's high impact. It's useful. It's something that will make money and do good. I mean, I've invested right now in a company called Healthy AI that is essentially able to change health equity as we know it today. It allows people to check their own health, all of the data points, just from a cell phone. Even people in rural areas have cell phones these days. So they don't have to buy an expensive wearable. They don't have to pay for a data plan. It's 25 cents for a scan. So imagine the difference you can make in people's health if you can make it affordable right in their pocket. And then if something is wrong in the health check, like let's say their heart rate's fast, it will actually have AI communicate with you and ask you the same questions a doctor would be asking for triage. And then if they feel you need to speak to a doctor, it can connect you to telehealth, or it can direct you to the nearest hospital. But either way, it becomes like a personal guide in your phone for your specific. I was very passionate about that. So, yeah.
My bachelor's degree is medicinal and biological chemistry.
Amazing.
I cannot tell you how often friends will call and say their symptoms, and they're like, "Hey, what should I do?" And I'm like, "I'm not a doctor. Like, I know I studied biochemistry almost 2 decades ago. Still not a doctor." Like.
Yeah, but it's also just having that data. I mean, they might say, okay, I feel like my heart's racing, right? But if you could actually hold your phone up and find out exactly what your heart rate is, that's what this can do for you, right?
Yeah.
So you're not just saying I feel, and it will cut down on hospital visits. Now I sound like a commercial for this company, but it's really a game-changing company. I'm also working on.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we're working on a drug development company that is for acute alcohol poisoning. So think Narcan for alcohol. Imagine how many deaths could be prevented, how many silly kids get drunk in a college dorm and die. They don't have to die. With a drug like this, they'd be able to instantly remove the alcohol from the system and save that life. So I invest in healthcare. I invest in education, access to health and wellness, diversity, inclusion, not in the way that it's poisoned now, but in true inclusion, in terms of no matter who you are or where you are, we're going to find a way to serve you. I'm involved with a company that's for the elderly. You talked about assisted living. It's an anti-loneliness device for the elderly, so that they can, maintain relationships with friends and family when technology is too complicated for them to use, right? They wouldn't be able to use what we're on today. It would confuse them. But they built an overly simplified tool so that they can do what we're doing right now without having to know the person's name or how to log into a website or any of those things. So all of those things combined, it's all one basic thing. I invest in companies where they are trying to make something better in the world, whether it's health, education, access. These are the things that light me up, and that's where I want to put my money.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I have a brother.
Older or younger?
An older brother, and he's actually following his passion. He's a bloodstock agent. So if anyone wants to buy thoroughbred horses, and he does a thing called pin hooking. If you've never heard of pin hooking, I learned this. It's really interesting. People think of racehorsing as trying to win, the big races. Well, that's a pretty risky business. Only very few people will ever do that. Yeah. But you can buy low and sell high on horses. It's called pin hooking. You're a real estate person. It's just like buying a house, fixing it up and flipping it for the profit. So you buy a 1-year-old horse that has the bones that you think are good. You train it for a year and you sell it as a 2-year-old to the people that do want to win the big races. And that's what the money is. The money is actually buy low, sell high. He just sold a horse for like $900,000 that he bought for $175,000. Right. So that's the kind of my brother's following his passion. When we were kids, I had, Paul McCartney and Patrick Swayze on my wall, and my brother had like Seabiscuit. So
no way.
I mean, he loved horses since the time he was born. We have no idea why. So that's what my brother does. So yeah, if anybody wants to buy racehorses, you can call my brother, Seth Morris.
Okay. Okay. We could have him on the show.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very cool. And then you grew up with like a big family around, because all of your passions are about human connection.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I actually have a tiny family. I have a brother, and my parents, thankfully, are still alive. But I didn't really know my grandparents because both of my grandfathers were dead before I was born. My grandmothers both died when I was about 5 and 8. You know, I was young. I remember one of them more than the other, but never really. They were
You're
both.
the youngest in your family.
I'm the youngest in my family. My brother now has children, but we also, my parents each had one brother, and they did not get married and did not have kids. So I have no cousins, no aunts. If my brother hadn't had children, we would be the last. So it's actually a tiny family. But I think family is built, not born. So for my friends have always been my family. The people I build around me, I have like a tribe, and the tribe is the family. And so, yeah, I've always cared about people, always cared about helping other people. Even as a little kid, it's what I was really into. When I was 11, I saw one of those Sally Struthers commercials for feeding the children for the price of a cup of coffee a day.
Yeah.
And I said to my parents, I want that to be my allowance. I want my allowance to go to that. So I had an adopted child at like 11.
Oh my God. Oh, wow.
It spoke to me. Yeah, I still do. I love all of those organizations. I'm a big fan of all of the organizations that allow you to individually connect to somebody and help them. One of the organizations I'm a part of, it's called We're In This Together, WITTforever.com. And it's for patients that are going through a terrible illness to be able to let their friends and family know what they actually need. So it's like, I need a ride to chemo on Friday. I need someone to watch the kids. I need someone because people want to help their friends who are sick, but they don't know how. And so they send a casserole or a balloon.
Yeah.
When what they actually need is babysitting. So by creating this sort of wedding registry type platform, a patient can create it, not have to ask anyone specific for help, but let everyone know what they really need. And then friends could go in and take it off the board, just like a wedding registry.
Oh my
So
God.
you go in and say, oh, my friend needs someone to watch her kids on Friday. I'm going to give her money for a babysitter, or I'm going to go watch her kids. It's a beautiful. I got so excited when I saw it. I was originally pitched it as an investment. And I got so involved. I said, I want to be a part of this company. I love everything that you're doing. Yeah.
We can have them on the show.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah. I mean, it was founded by a guy who went through cancer. And that was when he had cancer. He said, oh, I never thought about these things. I never thought about how hard day-to-day living tasks can be when you're sick. You know, I could always mow my own lawn, but now I need help mowing my lawn. So he created something to really allow people to pitch in and help, without the embarrassment or stigma of asking for help, because people don't always want to ask for help. It's difficult. Yeah.
I had, you can't see it, but all right here is stitches. I just had a huge thing of skin cancer removed.
Oh.
So like,
yeah,
it's like 3-4 inches of stitches across my ribs. And I didn't realize how much breathing would hurt after that happened. But yeah, like the house, everything's like a hot mess right now because breathing was painful for a week, like let alone moving around with the children. But yeah, I get it. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, but it's also hard to ask for help for a lot of people. They don't want to feel like a burden.
Yeah.
They do ask for help and you can't help them that day, then you feel terrible. They never ask again. So by making it a wedding registry thing, it makes so much sense because people can help if they're able to, but no one feels pressure to help. And what I love about it is, you know, if you go for like a GoFundMe type of a thing, that's great, but it's only money. And the reality is not everyone has money to spare. And you feel really terrible if your friend is going through something and you don't have money to kick in. But if you knew that you could help them by cooking them meals or by cleaning their house for the day, it allows you to also be part of that journey, even if you can't financially afford to kick in on an online fundraiser.
It's also like time is money. Like you might have a friend who's like, okay, yeah, I'll pitch $100 in, and then they'll feel like they did something. But it would have been so much more helpful if they had come and babysat several times. And to them, like babysitting several times isn't a cost of $100, but it would have been, it's cheaper. It's more valuable for them to babysit a few times than it is for that $100.
Yeah, or the person with the $100 to spare, it might be easier for them to give the 100 than to do the babysitting. But either way, everybody has a way to help. You know, for me, I'm really busy. I'm running a family office. I'm doing a million things. So I don't have the ability to go babysit, but I'm happy to say, I'm going to hire a babysitter for you. Here's the money I can transact through the site. You hire someone to help you, or I can't drive you to chemo, but here's $300 for Uber credits. Go.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's how I can help. But for someone else, they can't give the 300, but they can give the ride. So it allows everybody to do something. Yeah.
Or booking the Uber for them.
Yeah. Anything.
Yeah. We did that.
Everybody in the world has something to give. A lot of people think they can't give because they don't have money. That's not true. You can still give.
Yeah. You either have the two biggest things are money and time, but oftentimes time is way more valuable than the local currency.
Mm-hmm. And talent.
Yeah.
You have talent. You might not have time, but you can come up with an idea because you're talented and smart that someone else can facilitate, and it becomes huge. I raised a bunch of money for a charity with a very creative fundraiser, and I didn't actually do all the work on the fundraiser, but I had the idea for it. And that fundraiser was an enormous success. And everyone was like, no one else would have thought of that. Right. So sometimes it's just creativity. You can help in a lot of different ways. Yeah.
The marketing strategy.
Well, this wasn't marketing. This was this was actually, and I don't know if you edit this, you might cut it out, but I'll tell you the story. I was trying to raise money for children's cancer, and I was selling raffle tickets to like a gala. And these guys, these hedge fund guys that I was working with and around, they wouldn't buy a raffle ticket, but I saw them drop 25 grand at the Gentlemen's Club. And so I said, wait a second, meet them where they are. So I made a deal with the Gentlemen's Club. I said, what night are you like light? And I said, if I could bring 100 people here on your light night, will you give the cover charge to the charity and split the bar? And the women get paid their normal cut, so they're not harmed. And they said, absolutely. And then I went to these guys, and instead of saying buy a raffle ticket, I said, all you have to do is just go to the Gentlemen's Club on a night you normally don't. That's it.
Oh my God.
And they made so much money in that one night.
Oh my God. You literally, oh my God, that is so strategic. That is so strategic. Oh my God.
It's for tots. You know, it worked. It worked. But again, you know, the charity itself couldn't get involved because they were like, well, we can't put our brand on it. So I just raised the money and gave it to them. But it's, and then you could even, they could tell their wives, they were like, hey, honey, you know, you want to come with me? Because like, this is all for children's cancer, right? So why not?
It'll be a cold day in hell before I walk into a gentleman's club with my husband.
The point is everybody can do what they wish to do. And I think there's always a way to tie what people want with ways to make money. And I'm not sure people want to sit through another rubber chicken dinner with a bunch of speeches and having to get dressed up. And that's fine, you know, whatever. But I think the more creative you can be with things that raise money, the better, because people have a great time. And if people enjoy something that raises money as well, it's a win-win. So I love to do smaller fundraisers that are actually fun. One of my favorite ones, it's not mine, I just attend, Broadway. The Broadway industry does a night called Broadway Bets. Okay. And it's a poker tournament that's held at Sardi's. Okay. And you buy a table, so you've already, you know, you can't win or lose. You've already spent the money. So you get your bunch of chips, open bar, great food, great people, lots of celebrities, and it's a blast. And you just have a great time playing poker all night, and it raises a lot of money. So I like events like that where you actually enjoy it. Yeah.
Where it's unconventional fundraisers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. There's this one charity that's local. They're always like, oh, will you come and raffle for a car? I was like, I don't need another car. And they're like, oh, but I mean, like you're gonna win the car. And I was like, well, no, if I win the car, I have a gift tax. I have to pay insurance on it, which is worse in Florida. And you've given me a $6,000 expense. I do not want to win a car. Think of a different like a different fundraiser. Yeah. Anyways, I like the Broadway one.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about impact investing. If people want to get involved on all of the things you're doing, one of the things you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach out?
They could email me at lisa@lisamorrisimpact.com. Pretty easy to remember. It's basically my name, lisa@lisamorrisimpact.com.
Yep.
Happy to hear from people, and it would be helpful if they can give me some context of what because obviously I get a lot of email, but I'd love to hear from people that want to either invest in Broadway, that would be fantastic, or philanthropically support arts education. One of the groups I work with, one of the things I do, we pay for underprivileged kids to go see their first Broadway show. And it's really, really rewarding, and it's not that much money. So I would love to hear from people, particularly that have an interest in investing in theater. People don't really understand the asset class that theater is, but it's very unique, and I know a lot about it. So I'd love to connect with people that want to invest in or support philanthropically theater. I'd love to connect with people that care about healthcare, patients, investing in drugs, investing in solutions. When I say investing in drugs, I mean therapeutic drugs, to be clear. I don't want
our family.
So yeah, anybody that really has the true desire and the resources to make a difference, I would love to hear what they want to achieve and how we might be able to put them together with the right people. So I can't facilitate a bunch of asks. I can't have hundreds of emails asking me for money, but I would love creative ideas. I would love people that want to invest impactfully and don't necessarily know how about it. I work with a lot of next gen family offices. I work with them on how to speak to their other generations about impact as an asset class, and that it's not always concessionary returns. There's a real false narrative about that. And so for me, I would love to be able to speak with people that have resources and they just need help communicating the value of putting those resources to work. Or maybe they need guidance on where to put it to work. They might say, okay, look, I care about cancer. I just don't know what to do with it. Or, I care a lot about whatever it might be, climate. I just don't know where the right investments are. I am like an amazing kind of source of deal flow because I get so much inbound traffic.
Yeah.
I'm an Earthshot Prize nominator. So I see tons of people competing for awards. You know what the Earthshot Prize is? Prince William. So Prince William has a prize, kind of like X Prize, where it's for climate innovation. So whether it's ocean or air. And so thousands and thousands of companies apply, and then 5 win every year. And so I'm a nominator. So my job is to find the companies and then put them up for consideration. So I get to see lots of interesting ideas, lots of great talent. And for the family office that I work for, we're, always looking for good co-investors that are into venture specifically.
What kind of venture?
Well, we do growth stage venture. So we're sector agnostic. So we'll do tech, we'll do deep tech, we'll do healthcare, biotech, anything that we think can go to an exit, within about 2 years. So we're really strategic about that, but always interested in active family offices that want to connect with other family offices. That is definitely my sweet spot. I'm a massive connector of families. So that's incredibly useful. And then of course, if anyone still needs travel help, although it's not my day-to-day, I'm a great resource to direct you to the right companies that will help you with the travel assistance. But really, it's all about people that want to do something special with their resources.
Did Sarah tell you we're doing a road trip to Rhode Island in July?
No, but that sounds like Sarah. You're going to Opal in Newport?
Yeah. I have to double check if I can with my contact because I forgot to register. But
yeah, no, it's a blast. I'm not going this year because I'm going to be in London. I'm going to London for the whole summer. I will not be in America in July, but
I love London.
You guys have a great time. Oh, I'm so excited for London. But again, I go to London. My first 5 days, I have 5 family office events in 5 days. I can't seem to give myself a day off. I'm speaking at 4 out of the 5.
Oh my God.
I give good panels. So that's my other thing. If anyone needs a good panelist.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I enjoy it. Yeah, I really do. Again, it's communication. I enjoy talking to people.
I like panels. The speaking engagements where you're like a keynote takes so long to prepare for.
That's my wheelhouse. I never said this. I'm actually a pitch coach as well. I work NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research Development, basically I'm a pitch coach for them. So when it's out of Columbia, when they have companies that are going to be ready to go out and raise capital or try to get customers, they get 3 sessions with me, and I work with them on how to present and how to pitch. So that's another thing that I do. I love
When do you sleep?
Background. I do not sleep. In fact, my health data shows me I sleep 3 hours and 52 minutes a night, almost every night. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more, but I don't sleep much.
Oh my God. Are you on the Uberman sleep cycle?
I don't know what that is.
There's an Uberman, it's called the Uberman sleep cycle. You sleep for 4 hours a night, and then during the day, every 4 hours, you take a 15-minute nap.
Oh, no. I never nap. I never nap. I can't nap. If I go to sleep, I'm asleep. I can't wake up 15 minutes later and feel refreshed. I feel worse. Like a power nap does not work for me at all. God bless the people it works for. I can't do it. If I go to sleep, I'm out. I'm out. I need my 3 hours. Like I am not waking up in 20 minutes. So I am not me. What you call it? Uberman?
Uberman sleep cycle.
No, that is not me. No, I'm just on the, I don't know. I'm like an animal. I just have a lot of energy. And so I run on Dunkin'. I really do. I drink 12 cups of Dunkin' Donuts coffee every day. And I eat 2 string cheeses every day, Polly-O string cheese and Dunkin' Donuts. And that is how I survive. I need nothing else. Give me string cheese and coffee. I'm done.
I have so many biomedical questions that are running through my head that I'm not going to ask on a live recorded show. I will save them for later. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we have now met a machine. Iron Man is real and actually a woman. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will see you on the 24th.
Yeah, that's great. I'm so excited to do that event with you. And thank you for the time today. This was really fun. I had a great time.
Me too. All right. Take care. Bye, everyone. See you back online.